Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Cinephiles, the place where we talk about movies and TV. I'm your host Rehan Gore, and throughout the first season, I'm going to be watching some of the iconic movies from the 70s and giving you my thoughts and take on them. This week, we'll be talking about the first movie from one of my favorite franchises ever, and one of my favorite characters in all of cinema, Rocky. Rocky is a 1976 sports drama film directed by John G. Avildsen, written by and starring Sylvester Stallone. It tells the rags to riches American dream story of Rocky Balboa, an uneducated, kind-hearted, working-class Italian-American boxer working as a debt collector for a loan shark in the slums of Philadelphia. Sylvester Stallone plays the titular character Rocky Balboa, the Italian stallion. Also starring in the film are Talia Shire as Adrian Penino, Rocky's girlfriend, Burt Young as Polly Penino, Adrian's sister and Rocky's best friend, Carl Weathers as the undisputed heavyweight champion and Rocky's rival Apollo Creed, and Burgess Meredith as Rocky's trainer and mentor Mickey Goldmill. The film made $225 million worldwide on a budget of just $1.1 million. Rocky was what's known as a sleeper hit. It didn't start off well at the box office, but got more and more successful every week due to word of mouth. As well as being a box office success and the highest grossing film of 1976, the film was also critically acclaimed and solidified Stallone's career, as well as commenced his rise to prominence as a major movie star of that era. Among other accolades, it went on to receive 10 Academy Award nominations, winning 3 of them, including Best Picture and Best Director. Rocky is considered to be one of the greatest sports films ever made and was ranked second best in the genre after Raging Bull by the American Film Institute in 2008. Before we get into why I love this movie so much, I wanted to take you guys behind the scenes and share some interesting stories that took place during the development of Rocky. To give you some context, I'm going to read out something Sylvester Stallone, the star, wrote. When I was 26, totally broke, going nowhere very fast, owned 2 pairs of pants that barely fit, shoes that had holes in them, and my dreams of being successful were as far away as the sun. But I had my dog, Burgess, my best friend, my confidant, who always laughed at my jokes and put up with my moods, and was the only living thing that loved me for who I was. We were both thin, hungry, and living in a flophouse above a subway stop. Due to Stallone's financial state and poverty, he eventually had to sell his dog for $40 because he didn't have the resources to live. Fast forward a few years, and there's a championship match between Muhammad Ali and Chuck Wepner taking place at the Richfield Coliseum in Richfield, Ohio on March 24, 1975. This was Stallone's inspiration for writing the script for Rocky. He wrote the screenplay for Rocky in 3.5 days and submitted the script to Rumar and Kubik, his talent agents, who immediately saw the potential for the script to be made into a motion picture. The script went from desk to desk, from studio to studio, but was consistently rejected because Stallone insisted he star in it. Finally, after repeated negotiations, they signed a deal with Winkler Chartoff Productions for Stallone to write and star in the film. Other major studios wanted the film to be a vehicle for already well-established stars like Robert Redford or Burt Reynolds. Stallone later stated that he would have never forgiven himself if he let someone else star in that role. Another funny tidbit I thought was that the producers planned to collateralize all possible losses with their upcoming big-budget film directed by Martin Scorsese, New York, New York. The ironic thing is that Rocky was the film that eventually covered New York's losses. And getting back to Sylvester Stallone's dog, this is the beautiful thing about life, After Rocky's success, Stallone went back to the guy he sold his dog to and bought him back for $15,000. And in Sylvester Stallone's own words, he was worth every penny. Sorry for spending so much time on that, guys. I just thought it was a beautiful story and really heartwarming. Now let's get into the actual movie. Rocky for me is the quintessential sports movie. It's the quintessential underdog story, and like all great sports stories, it's not really about the sports itself. It's a visual representation of the inner struggle that our character is going through. The film touches on universal themes, whether you're talking about finding love or answering the question, do I have what it takes? And just the central idea of Rocky taking a chance on himself to answer those questions. That's why this movie is so beloved and resonates with so many people. And 46 years later, audiences are still talking about this movie because it resonates so true to the human experience. Rocky Balboa is a good guy, he's good-natured, but he's found himself with a pretty sleazy and shady job. Even though he has the potential to be someone better than he is, he's just never taken that chance, and that can resonate with so many of us on so many different levels inside. You also get other great characters, whether Paulie the jerk, that Rocky just for some reason is devoted to. You get Apollo Creed inside of it, who at the start seems like a one-note character, but if you watch that final fight, you can see him change in those moments itself. I don't want to get too deep into spoilers, but pay close attention to Apollo in that final fight. It's a movie that works as a sports film, and it's not just about winning. It's about giving it your all. The acting in this film is one of the most honest and raw experiences you'll ever have. It's everyday life. The characters aren't made up to be these flashy figures looking like models walking everywhere they go, but they're here to represent us, to represent you and me. They represent the people that we see every day. One of the benefits that this movie had was that Sylvester Stallone not only acted in this project, he was also the writer of the movie. So every word he spoke and every line he said came from the heart and came from the words that he wrote down. There was no guessing, what does this character mean? What are they thinking? What do they want in this moment? He knew exactly what the story needed, and he brought it. Not only this, but he broke the stigma of what it meant to be a boxer. When people think of boxers, they think of these strong, scary, mean people. But Rocky was the opposite. He was nice, he was kind, and he was gentle. And of course, when you're talking about Rocky, you have to talk about the iconic training montages. This film had the first training montage, and it set up an expectation and a tradition which following films delivered on. Of course, if you're talking about Rocky, you have to talk about the training montages. The original Rocky film set up a tradition and an expectation for future Rocky films and the franchise to deliver these amazing training montages, which were just a joy to watch. And the original training montage is still absolutely one of the best, even after 9 films. It might not be the flashiest one, but it has all the things you want from one of these Rocky training montages. It's also probably the dirtiest of the bunch. When he's wearing a shirt, it's all covered in sweat. Everything's gritty. There's dirt, there's nothing fancy about what he owns or where he's training. This is just a guy that wants to go the distance and he's training along the way to get there. And of course, this one is jam-packed with iconic shots. You have him doing these one-arm push-ups where he's jumping back and forth between arms, and then he's into this with these clap push-ups. You have the sequence where he's running along the street and he just starts running faster and faster and faster. And then of course, it closes out with maybe one of the most iconic Rocky images, with him running up the steps, putting his arm up in the air, realizing he's victorious in all of his training put all together. This is what it all started with, and it's still fantastic. All in all, this makes for one of the best Rocky montages because it has everything you want. It has the iconic shots and the amazing feats of strength that you love to see from a training montage. Rocky works as a sports film, and this character study of this person taking a chance. It might be kind of a classic formula for a sports film, but it's one of the best examples of that formula coming to the big screen. It's established the templates for sports movies for the last 40 years. It's my favorite sports movie of all time, and it's definitely a thumbs up and a must watch. That's it for today, everyone. I hope you liked it. If you did, it would mean a lot if you could give us some good ratings on whatever platform you choose to listen to your podcasts on, and you can also check out my YouTube channel in the show notes below. Thank you for staying all the way through this episode, and I hope you join me for next week's episode where we will be talking about a comedy film for a change, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, starring John Cleese. Thank you all again for watching, and goodbye.